class of 73 traveling fellowship. It's been our custom in the last few years that we've tried to pick a person, either a classmate or faculty or something that had an influence on as many of our classmates as possible. And this year, Andy has been tapped to make a short presentation before Jennifer gets started.
Okay. Today we're going to talk about one of our professors who influenced our lives and made a mark on all of us. My name is Andy Spatz. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and today I have the pleasure of being Jennifer's warm-up act. In addition to this year's Class of 73 fellowship lecture, our class would like to pay tribute to Professor Robert L. Schenker, who impacted all of our lives. In 1968, when we showed up down here, drinking age was 18, the Civil Rights Act was only 4 years old. We were in the South for the first time, a lot of us. Vietnam was erupting, and then we had the specter of the military draft hanging over our heads. My closest previous experience to college was 4 weeks at a summer camp. Many of us had just showed up to New Orleans for the first time. I was in that group. Back then, people just didn't visit colleges before they showed up to go to school there. I had taken mechanical and architectural drawing in high school, but soon realized I was clueless to what architecture was all about. We knew that getting through architecture school was special since there were only 9 fifth-year students. We were immediately intimidated, especially by these guys. Our professors were, that first year, up in the first row. You have Milton, that you can still recognize. Is there a pointer or something I can use? Can I use the mouse? Mouse?
Mouse works.
It works.
Mouse works? Okay. Yeah, cool. Okay, so there's Milton, circa 1967. Robert Helmer, who also taught us, and today's subject, Bob Schenker. Our class of 50, this is what I looked like back then. The pants came from Goldberg's. Okay, and I played this to death. This is a cover from Iron Butterfly. That's for you, Gary. And this is what Bob looked like back then. And the guy in the doorway, that's what I looked like when my hair started to grow and my mustache got a little bit bigger. Professor Schenker divided his time between teaching us and his practice. His buildings incorporated the concepts he valued and taught us. Most of the design and detailing in this building's interior is his. I'm going to show you a couple of pictures of his work that sort of back up what his ideas were. This is a house he did on the lake shore, the Russo House. These were all done in the 60s. Structural design is quite prevalent, sort of writing. This is probably what Bob thought was his best piece of work. This is the Krieger residence, as in the Krieger family in this town. You can sort of look at it and see that you know exactly the way it's being held up. And if you redetail this house using metal panels and steel elements, I think the design would still hold water today. This is another house that he did, I think this was on 1700 Lake Shore. And not quite yet, I got ahead of myself, sorry. Mr. Schenker helped initiate us as architects that first semester in Stanley Thomas. We didn't start out here, we started out over there, and I think that building has been abandoned. The engineers used to be there, but they're no longer there. Several of us were fortunate enough to be in Professor Schenker's studio multiple times. Besides first semester with him, I had Bob third year, second semester, where I found my own design voice for the first time. This model over here, I still have up, use this mouse here, yeah. I still have that up in my office. I still build cardboard models just like I did when I was in school. And I realized that in taking this picture, it was in a funny spot in my office next to the first house that I did in, a model of the house I did in '76. I also had Bob a fourth year, second semester, where I did independent studies for a design competition for the new LSU architecture building in Lafayette under his name and license as an associate. We didn't win. He was my fifth year thesis student too. Schenker loved being an architect. His guys were Wright, Kahn, and Gropius. He introduced me to James Sterling and Harry Weiss. He wasn't a big Corpu fan. I did my best to absorb all their licks, spending hours in Betty Lockett's library down the hall. I think Mr. Schenker's one-on-one critiques were less abstract than other professors due to his practice. He would sketch and ask, "Have you looked at this? Think about trying this." The directness worked for me. He stressed the real-world need for his students to be detailed and technically oriented. Those skills came to us after graduation as a will to you guys who are in school presently. He also introduced us to the concept of furniture design being an integral part of a project's totality. This is that house on 1700 Lakeshore. Nice black and white. This is some cabinetry from the Krieger residence, also by the lake, and which was severely damaged by Katrina. I think these pictures were taken a couple weeks before Katrina. And this is a drawing of some furniture from a thesis, his thesis from Columbia from 1947. Bob left his imprint on all of us. I remember my fifth year being very apprehensive about my future. He was there with multiple fatherly solutions to consider. Work for Skidmore and Merrill, downtown Chicago, he said. Call Harry Weiss, move to a small town and hang up a shingle, which he did with Marcel's dad in the late 40s. Bob was there to prime the pump. Every time I returned to New Orleans, I made it a point to see Bob. When he was still teaching, I would stop by his class, sit in on a jury, show him what I was doing, and get a crit. I still needed the guy's approval. On a trip back in '77, I remember showing him blueprints and photos of my first two single-family houses that I designed in GC. The drawings were organized just like the sample sets he had given me. I think he gave me ones from the Krieger residence, among others. He knew that I had copied his technique, but I pointed it out anyway. I still have those drawings. The year before Katrina, Tony Boltman and myself met Bob for lunch at the old College Inn. We offered door-to-door service, but he insisted on meeting us there, even though he had just gotten out of the hospital from one of his multiple illnesses. The guy shows up in a Mitsubishi Eclipse, brand new. His voice was still strong. He gave us those opinions of his. I showed him my current body of work, and he gave me opinions on that. Over lunch, he gave us his usual likes and dislikes on Tulane, New Orleans, the state of world architecture, intermixed on how his stock portfolio was doing, and which was the new missing body part that he no longer had. He always made it a point of letting me know that he made more money trading than from his practice on Green Street. He used the word crap a lot, still Schenker, a bit slower, still with amusing twists of sarcasm. I would like to thank the school for helping me find a lot of the images that I showed you